How could anywhere between numbers I'm seeing anywhere between 600 and 1,000 Hamas terrorists, some of them as young as 16 or 17, on pickup trucks, overwhelm the $1 billion fence erected by what is it, the fifth mightiest army in the world?
That's an amazing story. It really is reminiscent of Yom Kippur, 1973. I think there are several elements to it. One is deception. Hamas managed to convince the Israelis that it had been defeated, basically, and had become a manager of Gaza and was interested in getting rich. And wanted to promote workers being allowed to work in Israel, and the Israelis bought it. I mean, that Hamas was interested in butter, not guns. This is a play that the West keeps buying with China, with Iran, with Russia as well. It doesn't recognize that these states are out to undermine the international order. In the case of Hamas, destroy Israel. They don't want to just integrate into the existing order. Secondly, Israel's over-reliant on the Shmoni Matayim, startup nation military that can do everything electronically. And Hamas, undoubtedly, we don't have direct evidence of this, but one assumes with the help of the Iranians, mapped out the electronic sensors of the system based on towers, and it took out the towers with drones, and so it blinded the first line of defense are the electronic sensors, and it took those out, thereby blinding the Israelis. And then it did something very clever. They breached the fence in some 20 different places. And they went across with paragliders. They did a massive rocket attack. They also sent people in jeeps, and they sent people in motorcycles, and they also they opened up they breached the fence, and they just let normal young men, civilians who are not necessarily Hamas operatives, to go through. So the point of this, all of these different breaches at the same time, and then different kinds of attacks, paragliders, drones, motorcycles, and so on, is that confused the second line of sensors, the human sensors, who are trying to look at what happens, at what's going on, and trying to categorize the nature of the attack that's going on and prioritize the response. They also took over apparently the division headquarters in the south, and then so paralyzed the brain in the south that needs to actually come to a conclusion about what's happening and tell the rest of the system what to do. This matters because you have in the military, the different kinds of breaches require different responses. If it's drones and rockets, then it's Iron Dome. If it's a terrorist attack, then it's special forces. And so on. So you have to activate that part of your military that's going to take care of the right that's going to take care of the particular challenge. They overwhelmed that part of the system, and you can only do that. This is what makes it so sophisticated: is that the technology that they used to do this was really relatively primitive in military terms. But the understanding of the Israeli systems and how to override them and confuse them was highly sophisticated, and that's why we think that that Iran is involved. In addition to the fact that the weapons they're using are Iranian weapons, and everything else, including the fact that Palestinian Islamic Jihad is an organic extension of Iran. Finally, there was the fact that Israel was just unready. The most of its forces were in the West Bank. It was a high holiday, just like Yom Kippur 1973, and people believed that they were safe, that the chance of a war was very small, and so there was total unpreparedness about what to do in response. I'm sure that we're going to be studying this for the next 20, 30, 40 years, just like the Yom Kippur War. The deaths on one day are greater than any day in the Yom Kippur War. And as Gandhi said, this, the nature of these deaths and the kidnappings and just the general terror is reminiscent of Kishinev or the Holocaust. So this is going to sear the Israeli psyche, and we're going to be debating the fault, and we're going to learn things as time goes on. The deception operation in particular, I'm particularly interested in learning more about that, because I suspect that international, I don't have any evidence of this, my gut just tells me international actors like the United States and others, Europeans, Russians, perhaps Egyptians, were similarly deceived or played a role in this somehow. We'll have to yet find out what that will be.